when you feel like you're nothing, but you wanna be something. Yeah, well, all you really need is hope. I just want you to trust me if you wanna be something.
That's right. Let's go. Yeah, when you're feeling down and you're out, like you got nothing but doubt, you're alone in the crowd, just trying to figure it out. All of this cloud and this money got you feeling left out. Listen up to me now, every word that's out of my mouth. Wake up, it's me. You're gonna follow your dreams, or are you just gonna be another cog in the scene? You feel the hope in this beat, yeah, the hope that you need to proceed and be exactly what you want it to be. I feel right and I'm proud, hype and I'm loud. I'ma shout all about how I feel in the now. Ain't nobody ever gonna try to change me till I'm dead, pushing up daisies. I'm alone in the crowd, I won't feel down. I got hope right now, and I know I'll be found. I don't really care just what all other haters gotta say. I know everything I do is gonna make them fade away.
So when you feel like you're nothing, but you wanna be something, yeah, well, all you really need is hope. I just want you to trust me if you wanna be something.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, it's what you need when you're down, need when you're out. It's what you need when you're sad and when you feel left out. You feel an energy drought and then creeps out, but with a little bit of hope you can figure it out. Keep your head high even when you're down inside. Through the pain you fight and through the painful nights you keep striving, keep trying, keep driving, rising, keep thriving, surviving. Nothing's in your way but yourself. Don't need nobody's help. You can make it through this hell. Take it one step at a time, one step as you climb. If you fail you'll be fine. Get back up to the grind and never lose sight of your mission. Be driven. This life is a prison if you don't have vision. You're in it to win it, so get it, don't miss it. Your chances now, so be something somehow. Don't let yourself down. That's right. Sometimes all we really need is hope.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to everybody who is new. I do see a couple new people in the chat. I am glad you are here. If you are just lurking and you have not subscribed yet, please consider doing so. I cover many cases, whether they are popular or people you have never heard about. And so I really try to spread the information on as many people as I can. I am a mom. I do have children, so sometimes I don't get to go live quite as often as I want to, but I do my best to try to put out accurate information without a whole bunch of drama and speculation that doesn't really make sense. So I hope that you enjoy everything that you see. Hi, where the wind blows. Hi, Pamela, Sherry. How are you guys? Phil, Snickers, KO. Hello, Super Creeper Store. How are you? So let me just jump into this, you guys. They did put out an update and they checked the neighbor's yard, which was voluntary. They did voluntarily check the yard, and thank you, Downtown Wonder. No, I'm not giving out their ages. I have 2 that are small and a big one. So, but thank you guys. Yeah, I'm really hoping that they do too. I pray that they find him. Um, it's been too long and my heart breaks every moment that they haven't found them. And the fact that they did this search and then voluntarily checked the neighbor's yard as well, and they still didn't find his location really worries me that they may have moved him somewhere that he could never be found. And I don't want to think like that. I want to keep hoping and praying that the information does come. The police did talk to the 2 men that they put out during the press conference, and um they did talk to the 2 men. They didn't tell us the outcome of that, just that they talked to the men. So let me pull up the actual Fruitland police update here. So on 12/8/22, Michael Vaughan investigation, the Fruitland Police Department continues to investigate the abduction and the location of the remains of 5-year-old Michael Vaughan. Voluntary consent was obtained to search a neighboring residence to 1102 Redwing Street in Fruitland. On December 2nd, 2022, ground penetrating radar, that just popped up, and a certified human remains detection dog were deployed in the backyard of the neighboring residence. No additional evidence was found. There was no indication that Michael had been in any of the neighboring yards other than 1102 Red Ring Street. The purpose of the search was an investigative step to eliminate all other possibilities. We remain confident that the evidence shows that Michael's remains had been moved, and the investigation continues as we follow all leads. Fruitland Police Chief J.D. Huff said. Additionally, contact has been made with the 2 outstanding individuals needed for questioning. We appreciate the community's help in providing information on the whereabouts of Brandon and Adrian. The Fruitland Police Department is working closely with the Payette County prosecutor as we continue to work in this active and ongoing investigation. The Fruitland Police Department is grateful for the continued community support and patience as we pursue justice in this case. Tips can be sent to the Fruitland Police Department 208-452-3110. Tipsters may remain anonymous if they want at findmichael@fruitland.org or at Crime Stoppers. I'm going to copy and paste this little bit here into the chat just in case. You never know who is watching and who may have a tip. So let me put this there for any of you guys who might need it. Hi, allegedly. Yeah, I think so. A lot of us were thinking whenever they first started searching the yard, with the fact that the neighbors were registered offenders. They were initially investigated, actually, the neighbors, I believe. They had their door knocked on at the very beginning of the investigation. That was one of the people who were checked. And I think a lot of us were assuming that it would have been a registered offender who did this. And now the people that they have questioning, the people that they are looking at, they weren't on that spectrum as far as it goes. And so they searched the neighbors' yards, I think, just to put people to rest, because I think a lot of us were thinking that it would be possible for them to have gone over the yard or dug underneath even um and just, you know, bury him in the neighbor's yard even. That's why you usually observe or troll, whatever y'all prefer. You know what your job is and you do that. Oh, yeah, there's plenty of places that they need to search. They need to search her dad's house, I think. Yeah, he owns both houses. The lube shop in Oregon. I really honestly think that one of the men that they had to talk to, my personal opinion is that Brandon looks very similar to the man that was in the white tank top that were walking down the road. And I'm not sure what happened. What's going on? If you aren't totally familiar with the creator or channel, sometimes. Oh no, please feel free to talk. My mods are wonderful people and my chat is extremely chill. I would say 99% of the time. I just think that in this true crime community, we have watched people attack families way too often, attack children, and threaten to dox people and all of the things. And so I think that's, I just prefer to be a little bit more private with my home life. And that's just my personal way of handling it. I know some creators put their people out and, have everybody on their live streams and everything else. It's just not how I do it. You'll hear their voices sometimes, but that's about it. Yeah, no, Cray Cray, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah, this is not this isn't a toxic chat. You guys are okay. And Cray Cray's okay too. Cray Cray is in here a lot. I know that, they probably didn't mean absolutely anything by it, just was curious because I had mentioned it. So you were hoping law enforcement were able to get more info from those guys to help find him. I know. Yeah, Cray Cray's fine. Yeah, we're okay. And so is LM. I know LM is just trying to protect me as well. So just all a misunderstanding. Yeah, the true crime. Cray Cray knows how the true crime streets are. Yeah. It's okay. Everybody is good. Let's all just take a deep breath. All right. So let me pull up this news video because the news did put out a short clip, and I'm going to tell you guys a JLR's video in here of Brandon is in this news clip. And I personally do not agree with the fact that he interviewed him. I was infuriated whenever I seen it. And yeah, that's just my personal thoughts. I'm not sure how you guys feel, but I wasn't very happy to see that, especially since then at the press conference 5 days later, police named him as a suspect in the case, and it was just like mind-blowing that they had a suspect talking to a YouTube creator, basically. So, let me put this news video up. Here it is here.
We're continuing to follow the investigation into missing 5-year-old Michael Vaughan of Fruitland. Fruitland police say they have made contact with the men who may have information about Michael's remains. Last week, they asked for the public's help locating 30-year-old Brandon Shirtliff of Cuna and 32-year-old Adrian Lucien of Toledo, Ohio. That is Lucien there, and then that is Shirtliff. Both men were staying at the home of Sarah and Stacy Wandra on Red Wing Street when Michael disappeared back in July of 2021. Fruitland police say they are working closely with the Payette County prosecutor as they continue to investigate. Fruitland police also announced today that they searched the backyard of a home next to the Wandras on Red Wing Street, but say they found no indication that Michael had been there. Police previously searched the home of Sarah and Stacy Wandra. This is video while that search was going on. Police Chief J.D. Huff says he is confident Michael's remains were on the Wandra's property but were moved. Sarah Wandra is currently charged with failing to notify the coroner of a death. However, Michael's body has not been found at this point.
Okay, so that was not the video I was looking for, but that is one of the videos that I was going to show. Um, why didn't he bring the dogs? Why didn't the dogs bring them to their door? So chances are he got taken there by vehicle, because if he was walked there, I would believe that his scent would have traveled across. His scent, however, ended at the field that was kind of diagonal from where the entrance to their property was. So, okay. I don't know what's going on in my chat tonight, but y'all need to chill out. It'll be all right. Everybody's friends here. Everything's fine. Okay, so I am looking for the other video. Yeah, so many. I know you guys are cutting up. That's fine. You heard the dogs hit last year by their house, M. Brandon said he was already interviewed and released to YouTuber. He also said that he left to get a job to pay fines in Idaho. Now off F Facebook blocked YouTuber and not responding to law enforcement plea. So they have officially talked to him. He has been investigated again. And yes, he told JLR during that interview that he had been interrogated by the police pretty heavily, is how he referred to it. And it's like, hello, red flag. That's not okay. Yes, law enforcement did officially make contact with them. That was in their update today. And so actually the Ohio police had shared the information yesterday in their area, and then it was like today they had talked to them both. And so I really wonder if that is how they got in contact with Brandon, was that somebody had seen the info. I really hope that, I don't know, I think one or both of them maybe know what the other one did. As far as Stacy goes, Stacy still does not have any charges related to this investigation. It's still just Sarah. And so no charges yet on Brandon or Adrian. I'm sorry, I meant to say Adrian in Ohio. So but they used ground penetrating radar in the neighbor's yard, and it just eliminated all the other possibilities. Really, there is nothing else. I mean, they're going to continue investigating. They're going to continue to look for tips and leads and all of those things. But whenever it comes right down to it, until somebody speaks, like I worry that they aren't going to have enough to know exactly where Michael Vaughan was put. Um, I'm very concerned about that, and it's frustrating to know that these monsters could have put him somewhere. That they did put him somewhere. So I'm trying to look for the right video in the background here. I level-headed. True, he did contradict himself many times in the JLR interviews. Yeah, I watched him. I watched the interview as well because you have to whenever it's something like that. You almost have to. And and sorry, Phil, I just read your comment. That's horrible. So in the interview, he was contradicting himself. He was also drinking a beer sitting in like a baby pool. I don't even know. You heard Sarah saying her name was Stacy playing games. Yeah, she was messing with them bad. They're going to end up dropping the charges. This was a mentally ill couple bragging and taking credit for something they had nothing to do with. Do you think, though, they're saying that they have evidence that his remains were in the backyard? And so remember, they took all of that DNA or all of the dirt and were sifting through the dirt. I'm guessing if he would have decomposed at all in that soil, that law enforcement would have been able to find traces of that, I would think. Um, I don't know. Hold on 1 second. Let me get. Yeah, they're definitely involved. Yeah, and the dogs were hitting too. They don't just dig up a backyard for no reason. They literally would not do that for no reason.
Human remains found in the ongoing search for missing Fruitland boy Michael Vaughan. That's the latest update from the Fruitland Police Department after an extensive search of a home and backyard just a half a mile from the family's home, where Michael was last seen July 27th of last year. Anchor Karen Lair has been in Fruitland all day, where police briefed the media. And Karen, they introduced some new names of individuals they're trying to track down.
Yeah, and Don, we already knew the names and faces of Sarah and Stacy Wandra. They live at the house that police have been searching over the last couple of weeks. But now they tell us they believe there are 4 people with details and knowledge about the death and disappearance of Michael Vaughan.
We did not find Michael's remains.
After days of digging, no human remains found at a Fruitland home that's become the center of the search for missing Michael Vaughan. Police adamant the investigation is still their top priority.
I'm not gonna lie, I was honestly so heartbroken whenever they put this news out that he wasn't found, and I'm sure his family was 10,000 times worse.
It's not going to stop. Everybody should know that. We are not going to stop until we uncover the truth in its entirety.
Investigators say all dogs involved in search efforts earlier this month alerted to human remains on the property, but no bones or body parts were discovered. Authorities now believe Vaughan was abducted, killed, buried on the property, then moved.
All of those who have knowledge of Michael's disappearance and have failed to report or hindered our investigation will be pursued.
At a Thursday press conference, authorities releasing the names and faces of 4 individuals they say were staying in the home at the time of Vaughan's disappearance last July. Sarah.
Do we know exactly when Brandon and Adrian left their home? Did they leave at the same time? And do we know how long they were staying there? Has anybody found that information? Just curious.
Wandra was arrested immediately before search efforts began, charged with failing to report Vaughan's death. She will remain in custody as the investigation continues. Stacy Wandra, Sarah's husband, has been behind bars in Washington County since May on an unrelated charge.
We believe that Stacy has firsthand knowledge and is involved in the abduction of Michael Vaughan.
Chief Huff tells me they have enough evidence to file formal charges against Stacy in relation to Michael's case, and those charges are likely forthcoming. Now, police say 2 others were staying with the Wandras, Brandon Shurtleff and Adrian Lucien, both currently out of state and not in touch with police.
I strongly encourage Shurtleff and Lucien to contact the Fruitland Police Department detectives as the window of time for talking and cooperation is coming to a close.
As for the next steps of the search, investigators will use ground-penetrating radars to scan a neighbor's yard in a voluntary search on Friday, although search dogs did not alert authorities to any remains there. Fruitland Police Chief Huff is asking anyone who may have information on this investigation to come forward and talk to authorities. They're also asking the community to continue giving Michael Vaughan's family privacy during this difficult time. You can watch that entire press conference in this story on our website, Idaho News 6.
He's still getting irritated at him being there, and not Brandy. You know what, though? He had helped the family a lot from what I understand. Whenever the case first started, Brandy had reached out to him and the Cold Case Foundation, not so much his YouTube channel, but the Cold Case Foundation in itself was assisting in the investigation since the beginning, from what I understand. If Levi is still here, he could probably confirm that, but it wasn't the same type of dynamic that he had in the Summer Wells case, and I know that a lot of people were disgusted and upset with the things that he did to Don Wells to implicate him in the crimes and different things like that, and so it was kind of a very different dynamic between the 2 things. Michael was very likely abducted by. You don't think, Squeaky Wheel, that they did this? Mm. Brandon's hiding obviously now after law enforcement, JLR now ignoring all. Yeah, so guilty knowledge. I agree, Phil. Athena's case was absolutely heartbreaking, and I was just reading through the arrest affidavit this afternoon, or this evening rather. Burden sent it to me, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be prepared to read through it. Some of these cases hit a little bit harder than others, and for whatever reason, the fact that it was somebody that you don't even think about could be a predator. The fact that this was the FedEx dude, like, do you know how many times a week the FedEx guy is at my house? And so it really made me, it just freaked me out, I guess, that this was just literally some random person, just some random person that you would never think would hurt your kid, picked her up and took her out, and it was horrible. You're saying no way. Yeah, he was horrendous to the Wells. Exactly. He did those interviews and he exploited them. I agree with that. But for for the Michael Vaughan family, it was a lot different from what I understand. And I mean, I've never contacted or spoke with Brandy. This is all secondhand knowledge coming from what Levi had told me about the relationship, because I had the same reaction whenever I was like, is Chris McDonough at the crime scene right now? And then I was like, is Chris McDonough really standing up on the stage? Like, and I was very confused. Very confused. Yeah, it is. It's very unsettling. You didn't like what he did in Summer's case, but it's different treatment between Brandy versus how he was with Candace. Yeah. Right, exactly. That's the other side of this. Brandy and Candace are very different people. Right? They are outsourcing right now. They do that a lot during the holiday season. Yeah, even your mom messaged you. You still have hope even since nothing was found. I just don't want to believe it's there until there's proof. So I'm wondering because it's obvious at this point that Stacy is who talked and said that this was here, right? And I'm just honestly, genuinely curious as to what was found or what he was able to give law enforcement to actually have them start digging up an entire yard. That they went from believing that Michael could be out there somewhere and putting flyers on 18-wheeler trucks so that we could help spread his face absolutely everywhere. And then it was just a very short time period later that they switched gears, went back to Fruitland, and started investigating this as a abduction and homicide just in his own neighborhood. I want to know what he was able to give them. Sarah told them after they were there, but actually, if you see the reports that were initially released that weren't supposed to be released, but they put them out and then they recanted putting them out and sealed them again, that very initial reports that were revealed by that one news source did say that Stacy was who talked. And that Sarah confirmed it basically whenever they were there. You think he should have stayed off camera? Yeah, we all have our opinions about different creators. I mean, there are people that I love to watch that I know some of you guys would cringe. And there are people that I can't stand that some of y'all love so much. And so, it's all personal perspective as far as YouTube creators go. And there's really not much we can do to change each other's minds, right? We're all going to be set in who we think is great and who we think is awful. Trying to find this video that I had pulled up and I cannot find it. There it is. This is the one that I wanted to show. So this one came out, this was on December 2nd, and it says just 5 days before police named the individuals, a YouTube blogger spoke with Brandon Sherliff about the young boy's disappearance, and it has clips from JLR's interview.
Well, Fruitland boy Michael Vaughan disappeared from his neighborhood more than a year ago. And today, there are still so many questions surrounding what happened. Yesterday, in a news conference, Fruitland police revealed the identities of 2 more people who they believe have firsthand knowledge in Michael's abduction. And one of those people talked with a YouTube blogger just last week. Here's a look at some of that interview. Videos circulating on social media are shedding light on 3 of the 4 people Fruitland police named in connection with Michael Vaughan's disappearance.
It's actually really hard sometimes to be that vulnerable with people.
But who are these people? Just last week, YouTube blogger Jonathan Lee Riches talked with Brandon Sherliff about the then 5-year-old's disappearance. This interview came 5 days before police named Sherliff and Adrian Lucien as 2 people believed to have firsthand knowledge in Michael's abduction.
You ever hear Sarah or Stacy talk about the bonds or mention the bonds or say anything?
Never once. Not even. The only time I heard them ever mention the Vaughns is when they stopped the car that day and they said, "Hey, there's somebody that's missing in the neighborhood. His name's Michael Vaughan. Do you guys know him or know where he went?" That was the first time that came up to my attention. And then, as far as I know, they both said, no, we don't know where he's at. Let's go help look for him.
Sherliff says he was with Sarah Wandra and Adrian the day Michael disappeared.
I was with Sarah that whole day and Adrian. And then Stacy was left home alone.
Last month, police arrested Sarah Wandra for failing to report a death. She lived in the house on Red Wing Street with her husband, Stacy Wandra. The same house police excavated and searched for Michael.
So what I don't understand is the day that Michael went missing, he literally admits that he was with them all day. And so if they're now arrested for this crime, if Sarah is rather not there, because Stacy, as far as we know, has no charges. If they're looking at them for this crime, why would you be sitting there being like, yeah, I was there all day, all day. Sarah got out of the hospital. She was at the hospital the day before, I believe it was. And they actually had a video of them driving home on the TikTok.
Stacy Wandra is currently being held in the Washington County Jail for unrelated charges.
Although the remains of Michael Vaughan were not recovered, we strongly believe, based on evidence, that Michael was abducted and is deceased, and that his remains were buried and later moved from the property.
During Thursday's news conference, Fruitland police said both Sherliff and Lucien were staying with the Wandras at the time of Michael's disappearance. Police say Lucien is believed to be floating between Ohio and California. While drinking beer and sitting in a hot tub in North Dakota, Sherliff also revealed the Wandras were religious or hid behind religion.
Hey, I thank God for you. I hope you say a prayer for me.
Like the whole time I was there, they just say, "Oh, we believe in God and God tells me what we should do for the day and how to help people, and we believe in doing good to the community." So I don't know why they would go from that to getting caught with guns and then trying to run off with the story that definitely didn't happen in front of my eyes.
I don't believe this guy for a second. Not even for 1 second. Not even. And it's just gross. And yes, what they said is based off of evidence. They have evidence, more than just the dogs, more than just the radar. They have collected evidence that determines her charges. They can't just arrest people with no evidence. They can't. So
He also revealed he was not in Idaho at the time of the interview, but his family has a home here.
The police and the detectives and everything, they've been at my mom's house since I've been gone. They're beside themselves and just scared and freaking out.
As questions continue to surround this home where all 4 people stayed at one point, still no definitive answer as to what happened to Michael. And we reached out to Fruitland police and asked if they have seen these videos, and police tell us they have indeed watched all of them.
yeah, exactly, Snickers. They are not going to tell a mom who has nothing but hope that someone is deceased, that their child is deceased for no reason. They're just not going to do it. You believe in God. All I'm saying is this respectfully as possible, but them too steady saying God tells them to think and do all these things is just not okay. Yeah, something's very odd with them, Sleuth. I honestly, a lot of their posts changed to religious shortly after Monkey's disappearance, and I really think that they were trying to make up for the fact that of what they did wrong or what they seen done wrong. It may not have even been them. I mean, that was one of the things as far as abducting Monkey and walking him back to the neighborhood or chasing him down even to grab him up or however they took him. I don't believe for a second Stacy or Sarah for that matter could have ran after this child. But then they have these two much smaller people that were also staying at their house. And if it was a walking away type of situation, if they lured him and they weren't in a vehicle, if they lured him back to the house with a scooter or candy or whatever it was, people would have noticed Stacy Wandra. People would have noticed Stacy Wandra walking. And that sounds horrible, and I have nothing against people who have issues with their weight or anything else like that, but if I see someone that large walking out my window, I'm gonna be like, "Wow, good for them," and I'm gonna take note of it, and I'm gonna remember that this large man was working on his exercise or whatever, I'm gonna remember seeing someone that I've never seen walking before, walking down the road, and that's just my opinion of it. So that's why I think that he had to have been in a vehicle that and the fact that the dog scent, didn't necessarily lead back to the house. Was it ever confirmed that Stacy had a taxi cab job? So I don't know if it was actually confirmed, but Brandon in his interview actually did mention the fact that he would run the cab for them. Yeah, your heart just breaks for Brandy and Tyler. They have been unjustly crucified by certain social media platforms relentlessly. It has. It's been awful. It's been so bad. I guess it's just as important, though, to keep putting these creeps' pictures out there as much as it is to put Michael's pictures out there. Because what we're looking at in this situation is we have these 4 adults that have been pretty much implicated in this crime and that the fingers are pointing at them, right? And then we have this missing baby, and I think there's a good chance that somebody is going to be able to recognize these adults and their movements and where they could have possibly gone, where they moved to. Have you ever seen them digging anywhere? Have you ever seen them taking stuff, in a location that you wouldn't normally see them in or traveling? I mean, they're moving state to state. I think it's important. All of their movements are going to be important about where Michael could have gone and when they left. I want to know when Brandon and Adrian moved out of the Wandra's home because they may have initially buried him there. And as the investigators got closer and closer and closer, they could have panicked and moved out and took him with them. Obviously, I'm guessing that he was dug up after Stacy went to jail because if Stacy is the one who told investigators to go here and look because that's where he believed that Michael was buried, that tells me that after Stacy went to jail that he was dug up basically. Remember what date he went to jail? I have his background check. Let me pull it up for a second. Was either of the 2 men similar to the photo of the individual walking the police were looking for early on? I think that Brandon is a dead match for it. I really think that Brandon is about as close as you can get. Let me see if I can find the photo of the man walking. Save so many things in folders, and I really need to get more organized. me save it so that I can pull it up. Okay, now look at this. So now remember, this is a year ago. But I'm going to tell you, Stacy Wandra did not look like this a year ago. But you look at his body type and build and everything. At one point, everybody was trying to say that this was Tyler. They were trying to say that this was Michael's dad because of his body type and his build and everything. And then you look at Brandon, and I'm sorry, but it's very close, in my opinion, to his body type around the time that Michael went missing. Now he's got a little bit more of a gut now, based off of the video that we seen of him doing this interview in the bathtub or wherever he was. You think Adrian left within a week of Michael missing? High in the bushes. Did anyone check out the FedEx Tanner to the Tanner that Brandon had stayed at? I don't think the two cases are connected. Yeah, too much cores. Sickening that these people would do something so heinous and then turn around and add insult to injury and desecrating a grave instead of making an anonymous tip. Yeah. Yeah, they have more. Oh, for sure. They gave us one screenshot. One screenshot. And a couple months ago, they were like, we no longer need the identity of the man in the white tank top. We've identified him. And then he told JLR in his interview with him that the police have been to his parents' house and the police have interrogated him pretty heavily and all of this stuff. And it's like, yeah, so that's whenever they identified the man in the white tank top. They finally knew who it was. And I don't know. I don't normally point to people being guilty, but I really think that it was him who did something, in my opinion, and that Stacy couldn't live with the guilt and eventually told police what happened. And that's what they went off of. So let me watch this one. I don't think I've ever watched this one, so.
Well, there are new updates tonight in the case of a missing Fruitland boy, Michael Vaughan. At a press conference this afternoon, it was revealed that investigators strongly believe that based on evidence, Michael was abducted and is deceased, and that his remains were buried and later moved from the property. As of today, the whereabouts of his remains are unknown. However, the investigation is active, fluid, and ongoing. Fruitland Police Chief J.D. Huff has revealed the identities of 4 people who his department believes have information on Michael's disappearance. That includes Sarah Wandra and her husband Stacy, the residents of the home where police executed a search warrant last month. Both of them are currently in custody. Chief Huff also says Brandon Shirtlift of Kuna and Adrian Lucene of Toledo, Ohio, were staying with the Wandras at the time of Michael's disappearance and may have information. Police believe Shirtcliffe is currently in North Dakota and Lucene may be in Toledo or California. Chief Huff encouraged both men to contact the Fruitland police immediately.
It is, Lee Marie. It really is. And that's one of the things, like I say this all the time, knowing that your child is deceased, having a child that is taken from you too young is a horrible type of grief. But having them be a victim of a crime like this and then having them not be able to be brought home or being in this waning period where you don't know, the not knowing for Brandy for the last year and a half almost. That's terrible. And then now you think but at the back of your mind, you still want to have hope because police said this and they said he was going to be in the yard too. right? And so you're sitting there and you're going through all of these thoughts and these emotions and all of these things, and then he wasn't in the yard. He wasn't in the yard. And so then you go back to hoping and thinking, well, maybe the police are wrong. Maybe he is still out there. And so it's a never-ending cycle of just awfulness, just complete awfulness until they find him. There's no way for families to have closure without their babies being brought back in whatever condition that they're in. Yeah, in the bushes, they moved him. They buried him. They had him in this yard and then they moved him. And the neighbors voluntarily let the police search the yard as well. Yeah, it is. It's an actual nightmare. Have a good night, Sarah Hart. I'm actually not going to stay on either very long. I've been having a horrible brain fog because there's just been so many really heavy cases over the last, I would say, 3 to 4 weeks, and it's really been affecting me emotionally with all of this, right? Um a lot of times I'm able to just go with the flow and report on these cases and bring the details, and I'm able to get through it, but it's just been so much. There's been so much devastation and so many bad outcomes, and it's been a lot. It's been a lot. And I know that there are other people who are kind of feeling it too, but like my brain fog is just horrible. And so I feel like I can't honestly do this complete and total justice with the way that I'm feeling right now. Um I don't know. And that's part of why I kind of backed off on the reporting on Athena as well, because it was too much. It was too hard. And I'm just a YouTuber, so I can't even imagine how their families feel. I can't even imagine or begin to think of the pain and the things that they're going through. And I know that like there are there are grief counselors and everything else that help these families and help them go through this process. But it's just, I don't know. It's just not enough. I don't feel like I just want him to be brought home. I just want Michael Vaughan to be where his family knows he should be. I want Brandy and Tyler to get this peace that they know where their baby is finally, and they know the outcome, and they're able to finally lay their heads on their pillow and start to cry and start to grieve. And I know that honestly that doesn't even normally come for these families even until they start the justice. Look at the Delphi case, for example. Their families, even though an arrest was finally made, they thought they were going to be celebrating, and they're not. It's just, it goes into the next part of this, which is the justice and then the appeal process. And then they finally get to relax and grieve and process the fact that their loved one is gone. Some of these families go through 5, 10, 15 years of this, and it's just absolutely awful. And thank you, Phil. Thank you, Snickers, where the wind blows. Yes, you have to stay mental health. Yeah, right. It is. It is such a long, long road. Thank you, Burden. It has. It's been mentally and emotionally draining. And honestly, guys, I'm gonna do a stream, I think, within the next couple days that's just kind of relaxing and just I don't know, a fun stuff stream. And I know that our panel chat that we do on Wednesdays, we're planning a couple fun stuff streams for that too. Because I think everybody needs a break sometimes. We need an outlet. We need to just walk away and take a deep breath. It does. All of it takes way too long. There needs to be something in place for these victims' families so that they are not waiting, years and years and years. Look at Dylan Redwine. Have you guys ever heard of Dylan Redwine's case? Put a 1 in the chat if you've heard of Dylan Redwine. We got some ones. Lots of ones. Yeah, they were playing trivia from the 90s. It was much fun and much needed. Close, Louisiana girl. It was 8 years before it finally went to trial. And yeah, Grace and I watched the trial together. We watched that trial like every day. And guess what? The victims all had to remember every statement that they had made to police 8 years prior. And the defense tried to use that against them. Like, oh, well, you said it this way 8 years ago. And it's just awful. Hi, Queen Bee. How are you? Yes, they followed his dad for 3 years. 3 years. And it took 5.5 years to even arrest him. 8 years to be brought to justice. And even once they scheduled the trial, it got pushed back for COVID. It got pushed back for all of these different things. And it's a miserable process. Absolutely miserable. I don't know. So these cases, like I know a lot of people will cover cases and they walk away as soon as an arrest is made or as soon as somebody is found or whatever. But you have to stick through it because these families need support the entire way through. And we need Michael to come home. Queen, I came in your chat yesterday. It's been the first time I came in your chat in a little while because I've just been so busy and everything else like that. And I came in like thinking that it was going to be kind of relaxing and scandalous as it typically is over in Queen Bee's lives, a little bit cray cray and scandalous and all the things. And I walked into Quentin Simon's grandmother crying and I was like, oh man, I can't. I couldn't do it. I had to leave. I was like, no, 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 no. Yeah, Idaho is getting crazy. Right. You bring up the case a lot because people think it's immediate. Exactly. It takes forever sometimes. But if they don't wait to get the proper evidence before they arrest somebody, guess what? Then you end up with a Barry Morphew situation where you are arresting somebody that everybody thinks did it, but then you don't have the evidence to nail the coffin. And so then you have to let him back out on the street. And so God knows we don't want that, right? Once we arrest these people, we want them in jail and we want it to stick. Yeah, the average person doesn't understand how long and daunting the process is. My heart breaks for the Goncalves family. They have no idea what they are in for so sadly. Yeah. Oh yeah. I wasn't ready. That's how I picture you saying that right now. I wasn't ready. But yeah, you guys did. You made it. God bless you for being able to do it because I would have been like, oh no. Oh no. I know after my cousin was murdered and they arrested the kid. They arrested all the kids who did it. There were several of them involved in his murder and it was pretty open and shut, right? But the kid because he was underage at the time, I think he was like 17, maybe 16. He only got 3 years in a juvenile facility. And whenever he got out 2 years later, he murdered his girlfriend. And it's one of those situations where it's like, you know, if they would have kept him in prison, that other woman wouldn't have had to go through that. But whenever you're in justice situations like that, police, they put as many charges as they can, and then that's it. But I'll never forget how my cousins and my aunt and everyone, like my cousins we still talk about it. Every time we get together, we talk about my other cousin, and because he was the rock. He was the rock for everybody. And so whenever it happened, it was just so devastating for our entire family. So devastating. But then to watch another family have to get devastated because of the same individual, it's infuriating. Yeah, your mind can never even settle on what you have to cope with. You wear yourself out with the ifs and what ifs, and yeah. Yeah, what if I woulda did this different? What if I woulda did that different? The guilt that families hold in themselves. My cousin, my girl cousin, I don't wanna say her name, but my cousin, that night that he was murdered, they were in the room, and she had a silver necklace that he wanted to borrow for the night, and she was like, "Well, then fine, you're giving me your gold one," and they switched, and she hated gold. She hated wearing gold, and she still thinks to herself, "Maybe if I wouldn't ever gave him that necklace to wear, or, maybe if I would have kept him back a couple more minutes, or maybe if I would have held on and not let him go for 5 more minutes." And she was just a kid. She was just a teenager. And it's like, you know, all the guilt that families hold, and that's why I hate so bad to watch people attack the families, because regardless if it was the living conditions or the sleeping or whatever it was, right? Whatever the situation was, um, there's never a time or a place that it's okay to sit there and down on the family, because they are gonna do that for the rest of their life already. They will hate themselves forever already. Tim, did you gift memberships? Thank you so much, Tim. You're such a sweetheart. Yeah, we all love true crime and rabbit holes here, but the dark side of it truly it gets bad truly at times. It does. Just the family, right. I mean, and there are cases, like, straight up, there are cases that I will come out the gate and be like, "No, that person is guilty," right? But I still try not to say it right away. Ariel Sellers' case is a perfect example of that. I I started out I would say the first 3 or 4 videos, I was like, her family is really concerned, blah, blah, blah." And then by the 4th video, I was like, "Okay, where did you put her? Where did you put her, Lehua? Where?" 'Cause, you could just tell everything they were doing was screaming from the rooftops guilty, and then they stopped cooperating with the investigation, and they hired the best murder defense attorney. All of these things that was like, red flag, while there was a search party going on, they literally were sitting out on their stoop with a freaking grill, grilling food and waving at the searchers. And it was just like, "Are you kidding me right now?" Like, it was bad. And then we started hearing about reports that Ariel would have bruises and that she was, quote unquote, cutting herself, like all these things that they were telling people about her. And it was just so disgusting. Yeah, William Terrell, or Classic and Sincere, Orrin and Orson. I know. Like, there are some families that it just is bad. Yeah, they were still they were out there celebrating, her birthday. They were out there celebrating Lehua's birthday. while Ariel had a search party going on, and they weren't cooperating, and they weren't talking to the news, and they weren't talking to the police, and all the things, right? They lawyered up so fast. And then whenever you look up the lawyer, he's literally Hawaii's best murder defense team. And guess what? Once they got arrested, he withdrew himself from the case. They got public defenders right now. So forget them. Forget them. Yeah, Ariel reminds you so much of Gabriel. That was, like, one of the few cases, though, that I came out and I was just like, "Yeah, no." I'm pretty sure I spent several live streams yelling at Lehua Kalua because I knew they were watching. The, Ariel's adoptive auntie kept blowing up my Instagram. She literally was calling me. I think she called me, like, 120 times on Instagram. And I just left her keep calling me and sending me messages and stuff like that, and then poor Casey Hudson, she thought that Casey Hudson was me, and so she started blowing up Casey Hudson's channel, which, by the way, if you guys haven't heard of Casey Hudson, absolutely amazing creator. She does really great uploads. I know she has been MIA for a bit, but she is phenomenal when she is able to upload. Really great work. But so her adoptive auntie thought that Casey was me, though, and I felt so bad because Casey uploaded a video and was doing a premiere, and next thing I know, she came into my live chat and she was like, is there a reason that this lady thinks that I'm you?" I'm like, "Oops, sorry." You remember making fun of the CPS who was a failed actor who was attacking YouTubers online? Yes, and the other CPS friend that was stepmom of Ariel. Yeah, they both got reprimanded for that. We had CPS workers on the Facebook group saying stuff, defending their actions. It was insane. It was a crazy case. It's still a crazy case. They still haven't gone to court. It's been one delay after another in that one as well. So, but I don't know, guys. I'm not going to keep going. I've been kind of just talking for the last 15, 20 minutes. I feel a little bit bad for that, but please, keep sharing Monkey's Face, keep sharing out these monsters. I know it sounds weird, but keep sharing out these monsters' faces as well because we need to know their movements. Police need to know where they went with Michael Monkey Vaughan. And I'm sorry, but I don't picture these two digging a hole. I really don't. Or digging up a hole to move him. I don't picture either one of them wielding a shovel. And if you've seen their full body pictures, you know what I'm talking about. So I know the police have talked to them, but I think that we need more information on all of their movements. So, all right, guys, I love you all, and I am going to go ahead and jump off. So, have a good night, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Thank you again, Tim, for gifting memberships. You are absolutely phenomenal. I do want to say, though, I literally just got done updating the membership list again. So, I slightly am angry with you for doing that at the same time. No, I'm just kidding. But thank you for real, though.